Eric Loves Watermelons by Shawn. This is a story about Eric, a boy who loved watermelons. When he was almost 14, he had still never eaten one before. For his 14th birthday, his family had a birthday party at home and invited all sorts of guests. There was a birthday cake and all the usual treats. And for dessert, they brought even more, lots of fruit, including a watermelon. Eric saw the watermelon and recognized it. He had seen them in supermarkets now and then, but he had never eaten one. And now, right in front of him, there was a watermelon at his home. And he thought, wow, this looks so cool, because it's also a really heavy fruit. Most fruits we eat are easy to hold, like apples, apricots, peaches, or cherries. Even big pomelos, you can still lift them with one hand. He tried lifting the watermelon. It was really heavy. He kept thinking about how special this fruit was. He knew that in supermarkets, before buying one, people give them a few taps and listen carefully to the sound. Tum tum tum. A hollow sound or a solid sound help you to know how ripe it is. People check the watermelon stem, if it's dry or still green, and look for other signs too. He didn't really know much, and he hadn't even tasted one yet, but everything about it felt exciting and interesting. "Mom," he asked, "are we going to eat the watermelon?" "Yes," Mom said. "Dad is about to cut it." Eric's face lit up. It was his very first time he was going to taste the watermelon. "I'm going to taste it. I'm 14 and I've never tried one before." And Dad started cutting the watermelon. Eric urged him, come on, cut it open." Dad tried to calm him down. All right, I'm cutting it. Just have a little patience, shish." And then he cut it open. Dad sliced the watermelons into wedges and set them on a pretty tray. All the kids rushed over right away, and Eric picked up one slice of the watermelon Dad had cut. He lifted it high in the air and said, "Wow, this is going to be my very first bite of a watermelon ever." He saw the other kids enjoying it and eating it and savoring every bite, and he thought to himself, "Wow, this looks so fun, and the watermelon seems really tasty. I'll try it and see what it's like. Maybe I won't even like it." So he lifted the watermelon slice, brought it closer and closer to his mouth, and just before taking a bite, he thought to himself, "Wait, I'll smell it first." He sniffed it from end to end, then took a bite and said, "Yuck, this isn't tasty." His dad, who had been watching from the side, came over and said, "Eric, what are you doing? You don't eat the rind. You're supposed to eat the red part. The rind is hard and bitter. You don't eat the green part, you eat the red one." "Oh, right," said Eric. Then he took a bite of the red part, and suddenly his eyes opened wide. He was bursting with joy. "Wow, that was so delicious," he said happily. He had never tasted anything like it before. It was truly delicious. He quickly finished that whole slice in no time and grabbed another one and ate it a little more slowly. Then he reached for another piece, but oh no, the watermelon was already gone. All the children and the other guests had eaten up the rest. It was gone. But Eric wasn't sad. It made him happy that he had finally tasted it. And he thought, "Oh, this watermelon, I really want to eat it again. It was so good." Then he asked, "Dad, can you please buy me another watermelon tomorrow?" "Of course," Dad replied. "Well, Mom already placed the grocery order. It will only arrive in 2 days, but yes, of course." The next day at dinner, Eric asked, "Dad, did the watermelon arrive?" Dad answered, "No, it didn't. Mom placed the grocery order for tomorrow, so it hasn't come yet." "Okay," said Eric. But from that moment on, he couldn't stop talking about watermelons at dinner. He kept saying how tasty they are and how huge they are. Then he asked, "Is this the biggest fruit?" Eric's parents suddenly realized that he loved talking about watermelons and probably really loved watermelons. Then Dad had an idea. He said, "Eric, you're so curious about how watermelons grow and develop, so listen. This Saturday, we'll take a trip to a place where watermelons are grown. We'll see lots and lots of them, small ones, big ones, ripe ones, and even some that aren't ready yet. What do you say?" "I'd love that," Eric replied. He waited eagerly for Saturday, and when the day finally came, Dad woke up to a very quiet house. As he went to make some coffee, he suddenly noticed Eric already waiting by the door, wearing a hat with sunscreen and a small backpack. Dad asked, "Eric, what's going on?" "I'm all ready, Dad. When are we leaving? 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 When are we leaving?" Dad replied, "We'll leave soon. Just wait. It's still early. Mom's still asleep. And I haven't even had my coffee yet. Just a little longer." "Okay," said Eric. In the meantime, Dad pulled up some websites on watermelons for him, and Eric sat down to read and look through the pictures. So they got ready, hopped in the car, and drove for about an hour. When they arrived in the area, they turned off the main road and onto a dirt path. They parked the car and stepped outside. In front of Eric was something amazing. A huge farmland field completely full of watermelons, watermelons everywhere. There were many big ones, but some were small, some were medium, some a little yellow, and some green. His dad explained that at the entrance, just like in the strawberry picking farm, you pay first, and then inside you can eat as many watermelons as you want. Eric was excited, and Dad gave him a tool so he could cut open the watermelons. Eric went to a watermelon, cut it open, sliced it into wedges, ate one slice, and right after that, another slice, and another, until he finished the whole watermelon completely by himself. And he thought, "Wow, that was so delicious." Then he remembered Dad had said that he could eat as many as he wanted. So he went and grabbed an even bigger watermelon, cut it into wedges, and ate the whole thing too. Dad came over and realized Eric had already eaten a lot of watermelon. He asked, "Eric, what's going on? How many watermelons have you eaten already?" "2," Eric replied. Dad grabbed his head and said, "2 watermelons? That's a lot. They've got so much water in them." "Yes, there's also a lot of sugar too, but also a lot of water." Eric looked down and saw that his belly was already swollen, as if he had drunk way too much water. Dad said, "All right, you can keep walking around the watermelons. Maybe taste just a tiny bit more, but be careful not to overdo it." But Eric didn't listen to Dad. He ate another whole watermelon, then a fourth, and then a fifth. By then, he had stopped slicing them into wedges. He just cut them in half, then in halves again into quarters, and devoured them just like that. Meanwhile, Eric's belly kept swelling bigger and bigger, until, after about 99 watermelons, his belly was larger than he was. It was huge. And he didn't stop there. He kept eating more and more watermelons until his belly grew so big it was the size and shape of a hot air balloon. Then Eric said to himself, "I'm not stopping here." He ate more and more watermelons until he had finished every last one. By then, his belly had grown so huge it was the size of the entire earth. It was enormous. There was the earth, and right on top of it, Eric's belly had become like another earth attached to the first. His belly was so huge that all kinds of animals began moving onto it. Even people began moving onto his belly, building houses, settling down, and even planting all kinds of plants. Little by little, his whole belly started looking like another earth because people had started living there and building there. It was like another planet, and people and scientists wondered, What is this new planet? Where did it come from? What does it mean? But they didn't realize it was nothing more than a 14-year-old boy named Eric who loved watermelons too much, didn't listen to his dad, and ate way too many. But do you know what happened next? Dad figured it all out and quickly sent letters to everyone who had moved onto Eric's belly, explaining what had happened. And at the end of the letter he wrote, "Folks, this belly is about to disappear, so please hurry back to Earth." And what happened was, well, what happens when you drink tons and tons of water? What do you have to do? Pee, right? And Eric had eaten so many watermelons. That's just like drinking a lot of water. And so, then Eric started to pee, and pee, and pee, and pee, and pee. Little by little, his belly shrunk and shrunk and shrunk until it was back to its normal size. Everyone went back to the car. What an experience that had been! Then they started driving home. Eric's mom asked, "So, what do you think, Eric?" Without any hesitation, he said, "That was fun! Let's come back here next week!" His parents started laughing and said, "You ate all the watermelons. There won't be any left here next week. And maybe, just maybe, you should eat fewer watermelons. Eric, next week we'll have just one at home."